Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to today's tutorial. In today's tutorial we'll see how we can convert a Microsoft form response with attachment as a single PDF. My name is Clavin and I work as a technical consultant. You can find my blogs at clavinfernandez.wordpress.com. My Twitter handle is @clavinfernandez. Also feel free to ping me on LinkedIn. So without wasting any further time, let's go ahead and see the end product of our demo. So on your screen you see a Microsoft form. The Microsoft form is very basic. It has a text control and it has an attachment control. What I'll do is that I'll go ahead and fill in my name and I'll go ahead and upload few attachments. I'm going to go ahead and upload 3 attachments, a PDF, a docx file and a PNG file. Now that the attachments are uploaded, I'll click submit. In the backend, it has a Power Automate or a flow configured. This flow will go ahead and convert the response as well as it will merge the attachments into a single PDF. You see, this is a bit complicated, but don't worry, we are going to build this together. As of now, we'll just focus on the end product. So as you see, my flow is running. It takes a little bit of time because it has got attachments, it has got logic in it. So let's wait. Yes, the flow has indeed completed. So if I go ahead and see, a few seconds ago there is a PDF. So the end product looks like this. It has my name which I submitted, it has my email address, it has a submission time. And you see that there are 3 pages merged into the response. So this is the final product or the final thing that we are going to build. So let's start from a clean slate. Let's start building a form. So let me give the form a name. So I'll just say demo form. Now I'm not going to add many controls. I'll just add a single text control. The question would be, what is your name? And now we are interested in the attachment controls. So click on the plus and go ahead and click on file upload. So here you see it first and foremost tells me a new folder will be created in my OneDrive. So this is my OneDrive and there will be a new folder created. So you see it's created already and it's named as apps. So a new folder will be created such that we can go ahead and store the files. So remember this, the files that you go ahead and upload are stored in the OneDrive for Business folder for the account with which you are creating the form. So I'll click on OK. I'll just give the question like, please upload supporting documents. And here you can specify how many files or the number of files you need to upload. You can say 1, you can say 2, you can say 5, and at the most you can go ahead and upload 10. So for the purpose of this demo, we can keep it 10 files. You can go ahead and upload as much as 10 files. And then there is a size limit as well. The total size can be 10 MB or it can be 100 or it can be 1 GB. I'll keep it 100 MB. You can also go ahead and make this field mandatory, which we'll not. And you can also go ahead and select which file type can be uploaded. So I want it to be Word, I want it to be Excel, it can be PPT, it can be PDF, and it can be image. I don't want people to go ahead and upload audio and video files because audio and video files cannot be merged as a PDF. And that's pretty much it. So this is our form is ready. So let's go ahead and look into our OneDrive first. We have the apps folder, we have the Microsoft forms, and if you see, the name of the form is Forms Demo. And the folder is being created. So as of now, there's one question and it's empty. So if I go ahead and launch this form and if I click on preview and if I fill in this form, just say Clavin Fernandez, and if I click on upload and if I try to upload one document and if I hit submit, you'll see that the document is created in my OneDrive for Business. So this is the basic of attachment control. Now that you know the basic of attachment control, the next step would be to go ahead and attach a Power Automate such that we go ahead and get the form as well as the attachments in a single PDF. Right? So let's go back to our Power Automate. and let me create a new flow. I'll say automated flow. And when a response is submitted, my flow should be triggered. So I need to pick a form. The form name is demo form. So I'll select it. And next, I need to go ahead and search for form. And there's just one action, that is get response details. I'll add that action to my Power Automate designer. I'll click on demo form and I'll pass it the response ID. Now next step would be to add the compose action. I want to know how does the form or the attachment control response look in Power Automate. To do that, I'll add the compose action and I'll pass the question, that is please upload supporting documents in my compose action. I'll give this a name, so attachment form demo. Go ahead and save my flow and I'll go ahead and test my flow. So let's see how does it look. So I'll go back to my form. I'll go ahead and click on preview. I'll type in Clavin Fernandez 1 and let's upload 2 documents. So now my flow should be triggered, and if you see, my flow ran successfully, and in the compose action you should see a JSON. So if I go ahead and put it on a notepad, it looks like it returns me the name. It also goes ahead and appends the user who added it. It also goes ahead and gives me the link, which is very useful. It goes ahead and returns me a unique identifier ID. It also gives me a size. So in Flow, I can go ahead and use these parameters and get the document content, right? Get the document content. So how can I do that? So to do that, we need to go ahead and parse this output in our flow. So I'll click on edit. I'll go ahead and put in parse JSON action. Go ahead and generate a payload, say OK, and then I'll pass it please upload supporting documents. So let me go ahead and rename this action. So I'll just say compose raw attachment JSON. So this is holding the JSON, and next the parse JSON action, or I can say parse JSON attachments. Now we have 2 pieces out here which will go ahead and help us. The next piece is to go ahead and get the file content from my OneDrive. So to get the file content from OneDrive, I can use the get file content action. So to this particular action, I can go ahead and pass in the ID, right? The ID is the unique identifier for the file. So I can just click on it and I can pass in the ID, which is the output of the parse JSON action. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and create the form first, right? First create the form in HTML and then perhaps go ahead and merge it. So we did not do that. So let me add a compose action out here and I'll rename it as form HTML, and let me go ahead and quickly create an HTML. So I have an HTML sample ready. I'll paste it in. So the name will come from what is your name question. The responder email will come from the get response detail action, and the submission time will also come from the get response detail action. Now we have this, right? Next, what we want to do, we want to go ahead and merge the attachments to this particular form. Now the form is still not in PDF. We need to convert it into PDF. So let's go ahead and add in Mohembi, and I'll use the convert document action. I'll just go ahead and create a name. So I'll use concat, and I can say something like responder email, comma, concat it with .html, and I think that should be it. So the name is there, and then comes the source file content, which is the output of the form HTML. I'll go ahead and rename this action, and I'll say convert form to PDF. Now we have the form, as a PDF. The next step would be to go ahead and merge the file contents. If you see, it automatically decorated with an apply to each loop. So we have the file content. Now we need to go ahead and merge the file content using the merge action for Mohimbi. So we can go ahead and use that. Let me add the action outside the loop. I'll type in Mohimbi, and then I can say merge documents. And here you see that it can take a list of files and it's of a type array. So I want to go ahead and create an array element, right? So that I can fill in all the files from the get file content and create a single array and then pass it to the merge action. So to do that, let me go ahead and initialize a variable. So initialize variable of type array, and I'll name this action file array. Just copy this name, I'll rename the action, and I'll say file array variable. Now what next? I'll go into the apply to each loop, and I want to go ahead and append the values to my array variable. So to do that, we can use the append array variable action. I can say append it to the file array, and here I want to give it a value. So if I go ahead and expand the merge action, it needs the values, two values, right? It needs the source file name and it needs the source file content. Technically, the JSON would be this, right? So let me just copy the JSON. So it will be source file name and the source file content. Now it requires values. So first value that it requires a name. So name is going to be returned by parse JSON attachment, and the second, it needs the file content. So to get the file content, I can go ahead and use the response from the get file content action, and I can pass it in. One thing out here, it will infer the content type, and I don't want it to infer the content type because it will go ahead and create a wrong payload for our append variable array variable action. Right, so I'll go ahead and say infer content type to no, and I'll pass the source file array into the source file merge action. Now next we have the form as a PDF, we have the attachments merged. I want to go ahead and merge the form and the attachments together. So to do that, I need to again add the merge action. And this time what I can do is that I can pass it as individual elements. So first thing will be the source file content. Okay, the output of the convert document to PDF action. So I'll say base file name dot PDF. The file content will be the processed file content, the output of the convert form to PDF action. Next, I can say merge documents. I can just hard code the name. So I'll say merged.pdf, and the file content would be the processed file content. So next, we need to go ahead and create the form in our SharePoint folder. So I have a folder named as forms attachment demo, and I want to store the merged files in here. So let me go back to my Power Automate, and let me go ahead and use the create file SharePoint action and create the file in SharePoint. So what I'll do is that my site is Power Automate tutorials. The folder path would be forms attachment demo. The file name would be the base file name .pdf that is coming back from the convert action, and I'll say that, and I'll append it with attachment demo 1.pdf, and I'll pass it the merged file contents of 2. So what I'll do, I'll rename the action so that we don't get confused. So this is files attached, files merged, or you can say attachment merged, and this will be merge attachments and files. So I need to go ahead and create the file from the output merge attachments and files. So I'll just pass it in, I'll save it. So let me manually start my flow. Go back to my forms, click on preview. I'll say Clavin demo 1. I'll upload the forms. I'll upload the attachments 1, 2 and 3, and I'll say open. Now I'll click on submit. So now it should go ahead and loop all the 3 attachments and merge it to the response. We have no files in forms attachment demo yet, so our flow is running. So let me just open the file array. Yes, it has 3 attachments. And now if I go back, you see a document gets created, and if I open this, I have the response, which is right, Clavin demo 1. I have the first, second and the third file attached to a response. So isn't this awesome? Now if you look at this particular example that we just created, this looks good, right? But what if our user goes ahead and submits a form with no attachments? So I can say Clavin demo 1, and if you submit this form, what actually happens to a Power Automate solution? Any guesses? So why does it fail? It fails for the first reason that there are no attachments and it returned a null. So there's nothing to parse. So here is a problem and we need to deal with it. So if you have no attachments, what do you do? So let's go ahead and build a solution around this as well. So first thing, remember, it failed at the parse JSON action, right? So we need to go ahead and push in some actions above the parse JSON action. So I'm going to go ahead. I need the form response, right? So form HTML and the convert form to PDF is fine. And I need to go ahead and keep everything from parse JSON action inside a condition. So what should be the condition? So let me add an action and let me add a condition. So the condition would be if it was empty, right? So I need to check if my parsed JSON or the output of the parsed JSON, if the output of please upload supporting documents is equal to false. If it's equal to false, go ahead and do everything from here. So I can just drag these actions inside this. So again, the initialize variable should be on the top, so I need to go ahead and push it on the top. So let me just get this thing up here above the condition. So this looks good. Let me put in the condition again and drag and drop all the things inside the condition. Next, what I want to do, so if it's empty and if it's false, merge the attachments, and if empty and if it goes to the no loop, go ahead and create the file in Sharepoint. So Sharepoint, so I'll select my Power Automate tutorial site collection. I'll select the folder path, which should be forms attachment demo. I'll give this a name, so the name would come from the convert form to PDF, and I'll say no attachments .pdf, and then pass it the processed file content. Let's go ahead and save this, and let's go ahead and test it out. So the scenario here we are covering is no attachments first. So I'll just say Clavin demo no attachments, and I'll click on submit, and it should trigger the attachment demo and it should run a flow. And if you see, our flow ran successfully. It evaluated to false. That means it had no attachments, and then it went ahead and created a form in my create using the create action in the forms demo folder. So if I go ahead and launch this, you see it is a single page just with the response. So we have covered a scenario in which if there are no attachments, then just convert the form. So now we have covered a scenario in which if there are no attachments, what happens? Just convert the form and leave out the attachments. Now let's take a scenario number 3. Now what if I have a single attachment? So let me go ahead and put in Clavin demo single attachment, and let me go ahead and upload a single attachment. Before I go ahead and submit the form, let me trigger the form manually. Let me go back, single attachment, and submit. Any guesses what will happen? Will our flow succeed? Will our flow fail? What would happen? So it goes to the convert action. It goes to the condition. So our condition evaluated to true. It's going ahead and it failed. It was going ahead and trying to go to the apply to each loop, and it failed in the merged file action. So the merge file action tells me it needs minimum of 2 files, but now we have just passed 1 file. So now we have a scenario in hand, right? How can we go ahead and evaluate if it's 1 file, add a condition, and then just go ahead and pick up that 1 file and then merge it to the response? So it sounds tricky, it sounds difficult, but I'm here to help you, so don't worry. So the first thing that we need is we need to find the number of attachments. So to find the number of attachments, let me go ahead and initialize a variable. So we need to go ahead and initialize a variable. So we have to do it at the top level. So initialize variable, and I'll give it count attachment. Just copy this, and I can rename this, and it's going to be of a type integer because I want to see 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, right? So integer, and I'll go ahead and set it to null. Now what next? Now I want to go ahead and count the variables. So the variable is counted in the apply to each loop, right? So what I want to do, whenever a loop is being applied, I want to go ahead and count it. So I can say increment variable. So increment the count attachment variable by 1, right? So increment count variable by 1 inside the apply to each loop. This will go ahead and return us the attachment count, which will be stored in the count attachment variable. So increment variable count attachment. I'll just rename it. So here we have it, right? Now what I want to do, I know that it failed out here, so I need to add a condition, right? I need to add a condition out here. So the condition would be to count the number of items. So count attachments, the output is maybe greater than or equal to 1. If it's greater than, it should be greater than. It should not be greater than or equal to. If it's greater than 1, then go ahead and merge the attachments. And if it's 1, then go ahead and just merge the form response with that single attachment. So we can go ahead and drag these 3 actions in the S. We need to first grab the attachments. So first I'll add the compose to just make sure that I'm going ahead and grabbing the attachment. And I want to go ahead and grab the attachment. So, and it can be found in the file array variable, right? So let me think of an expression. Let's create an expression indeed. So I want to go ahead and grab the first value from the array, and the variable would be the file array variable out here. Yeah, the file array variable. And I want to go ahead and grab the source file name and the source file content, right? So let me just go ahead and quickly type that in for you. So first thing, let's go ahead and try to find the source file name. Let's make sure that we get it right because we are going to test it. So source underscore file underscore name, and I'll click OK. So if you remember, our previous test actually failed, so let's go ahead and recheck it, and let's hope that it goes into the known loop and does not fail, right? So unfortunately our condition failed, so there's something wrong. So the condition worked but our compose action complained. So let me click on the first and let me just quickly review it. I get it. So I need a bracket here and get rid of bracket here. Update, let me test my flow again. So if everything goes right, it should succeed this time. Okay, this time it succeeded. So it was just a typo, or you can say my ignorance of the formula. So here you see it's returning the company letterhead. So this looks good. So if we have this here, we can go ahead and merge. We can also get the file content, right, using the same technique. That is, instead of source file name, we can just get the file source file content. As simple as that. So let me add the merge action. And this time, let me go ahead and pass in two variables. So the first variable that I am interested in is the source file name. So source file name will be the source file name from the convert form action, because first I want to go ahead and get the form itself. So single attachment dot PDF, and the file content would again be the processed file content. That will be from the convert form PDF action. Now the source file name of the attachments we have already created. So let me just copy this in. Let me click in here and put in the same expression. First, it needs an attachment, so I can go to the and select the file array. Then I can just put in a question mark, and then I can say get the source file content. So source underscore file underscore content. So this looks good, and I can click OK. I can go ahead and create the file in my Sharepoint. I can give it the file name. I can just say base file name, perhaps. I'll use the base file name from convert, and I can say single dash attachment dot PDF, and I can pass in the merged content from the action above it. So merge document, I'll just rename it with single attachment. So I'll save it. I'll go back to my Sharepoint. I don't have a file with the name single attachment. I'll go ahead and run our flow, and let's see if it creates a file with a single attachment. So it's going to condition true. Yes, it went into the no loop, so it has a single attachment, and it also merged the documents and it created the document. So if I go back, you see there's a file with single attachment created. So here we have covered all the three scenarios. 1. Merge the file with no attachment, merge the file with multiple attachment, and merge the file with single attachment. So I hope this session was informative, and thank you for listening. Bye bye for now.